in life, we have to forsake this way of doing things. And to answer the question, spirituality, especially if you want to be identified with Christ, there are a lot of things that you have to, forsake. That even looking at people around you, but as Christian, you will not want to do them.
All right, thank you. So, is it sufficient in its own when it talks about the entirety of human being? Do you think it is sufficient for you to just say I'm spiritual and every other thing we follow? The lesson today is going to be a bit hard lessons, A lot of things for us to ponder and chew on. Is it all sufficient? Is spirituality all sufficient? Yes.
For me, I think it's not sufficient, and at times it could be sufficient. When we say it's sufficient, it's just that we have to work with it, and it's in the sense that we have to be contented with what we are doing. So we shouldn't look other distractions, that things that is happening around us, because those things can hinder our being spiritual. So when we are contented with the level of our spirituality, I think it's sufficient on its own.
All right. Yes.
So from my own point of view, I think that spirituality is supposed to be a guide as to the things that you do in life. So if you don't do anything, then what do you need guidance for? Right? Let's say, for example, you are being tempted to steal in an office. If you don't even gather enough skills or resources to even be in an office where you're tempted to steal, then where do you get to apply that spirituality? So I feel like spirituality in itself is not sufficient, but then it is the guide to doing the right things or the way you're supposed to live your life.
All right. That maybe spirituality on its own is not what? It's not sufficient. But it's just a guide. So, and that's why we try to look at our mindset, our attitude, our growth. Now, let me ask you another question. If you are not a Christian, this is not working. Please, can you help us? Go to the next slide. If you are not a Christian, what will you be? Have you ever thought of that? Maybe we have not. Has any of us ever thought of, wait a minute, if I'm not a Christian, what else will I like to be? Because I saw the way you blush. You are blushing. So I'll be asking some deep questions. Yes, go ahead.
I actually was thinking about it this week.
You are thinking about it today?
This week, I was thinking about something similar.
Okay.
To if I was Christian, what would I be? And maybe I'll be a psychopath or a serial killer or something.
Okay. So that's what...
I think the reason why I think so, which I think I came to understand this week, is that unlike most people, I am able to act outside of my emotions. Almost everything I do is not... I know my emotions. I can know that I feel this way, but I don't necessarily act towards it. So I'm able to act outside.
Suppress your emotions?
Yes, for actions. And a lot of times, because of my spirituality, let me use that, I am driven towards actions. However, if I did not have that, then I would not necessarily need to make the right decisions at all times, or at least try to be good. So I could just be anything. And I think if I was using humanity as a guide, then it would be quite deprived.
So, any other person? Sometimes religions knock you to the corner and does not make you to think broad and wide. The reason why we couldn't even imagine that, look, I asked myself a question, if I'm not a Christian, what will I be? I've asked myself, for instance, if I'm not a human being, what will I like? Maybe that is easier for you to ask yourself. If you are not a Christian, what are you going to do?
I don't know, but whatever it is, I know I'll be this crazy about it as I am for Christianity.
So we have never thought of it. Okay, so if you look at this slide, you have about 5 people here on this slide, different people. What do they have in common? No, you are way ahead of me. What do they have? Okay, don't worry, I can control it now. So you have 5 people here. What do you think these 5 people have in common? Hmm? Influence? What? They are religious leaders. They are spiritual. They are spiritual people. These are people that are respected. So this guy, Dalai Lama, is someone who is widely respected for what he believes. He's a monk who live a pious life, extremely pious, life. So what they have in common is spirituality. And that spirituality has enabled them to look at things from different perspectives, isn't it? So, if you Pope Francis is the head of the Catholic Church. So, will you say, which of them will you say is not spiritual? If care is not taken, by our definition, we think that sometimes when people don't agree with our view, especially if they are not a Christian, we think they are not spiritual. Is that correct? No. Let's go ahead. So, what is the foundation of spiritual belief? The foundation of spiritual belief is that we believe that we are connected to something higher, a superpower, isn't it? All of us. Virtually everybody on the face of planet Earth believe that there is a higher power right there, and we must hide ourselves under that higher power. We also have a deep feelings about our religion, and that's why sometimes you see people killed because of their religion. You see people being fanatical because of their religion. However, one thing that we also have to know is that when people talk about spiritualism, then they bring down the pursuit of money and selfish ambition. Do we know that? That when you are spiritual, those who are spiritual, they do not look at money. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And that's why today people are worshiping him, isn't it? The demons, are they spiritual?
Yes.
We believe they are spiritual.
Yes.
Okay. That's why people